All right, y'all, we're here with session 1. And session 1 is all about the words that we use. So, Mickey, tell us, what's up with the words that we use when it comes to perfecting our pitch?
Yeah. So there's this one key element that you and I have talked about before, which is the all-elusive presence and confidence that seemingly some men or some women have and others don't.
Like as they step into a room.
As they step into a room, as they're speaking, as they're delivering either a rehearsed presentation, as they're able to answer questions on the spot in a sales pitch type of interaction. And there's some science behind this, which I think is comforting, because the worst possible thing, and I've been there, I think we've all been there, when someone says, I just would love for you to be more confident. And you honestly want to give them like a big fuck you. Like, what the fuck? What does that even mean? Like, be more confident. Yeah,
be more confident when you're in front of the room. Well, yeah.
Super helpful.
What we want.
How?
Yeah.
So this first component of it, which we're going to talk about today, is one step in getting you there. One step in both appearing more confident and being more confident. And we don't always know which one's going to come first. So it's a little bit of a fake it till you make it type of situation.
Fair enough. We can fake it.
We can fake it. All right, ready?
Yeah.
In English, the word is Do you speak any other languages?
Spanish.
Okay, what is it in Spanish?
Yeah.
French has it. Every language has it. Yeah. They're all filler words, or what I call weak language. And they massively destroy your brand as a speaker and how confident you're able to project yourself to the audience that's listening to you.
Right.
Yeah. So there is an opportunity for us as speakers to craft a brand that is weak language less.
Okay.
And it's not easy, because the question becomes, what do you replace it with?
Well, right. And I think, too, it's like we've been saying this for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, the is there. And we've practiced doing it, and it's not even a great word to be in there, and we're perpetuating it. So, yeah.
Yeah. The and the as you just even used it, what is it doing? Why is it there?
I mean, I think it's buying space for my brain to then figure out what the hell word it wants to put in there.
Absolutely. Totally natural, totally normal. We need time to think. We need time to process, especially if it's not rehearsed.
Yeah.
But what could you replace it with? What are you afraid of in that moment?
I guess using the wrong word.
Okay.
Or maybe not delivering... Well, there you have it, folks.
That was not rehearsed.
I think it's maybe that I won't deliver my intended statement.
Mm-hmm.
That it will perhaps be just not the direction
garbage
I wanted to go.
After the rest of
garbage.
Now, what would your brain need in that moment that is not the or the in order to regain traction, to regain the trajectory of where the conversation was going?
I suppose it's some amount of rehearsed speech that I put in there.
But what if it's not rehearsed? What if I ask you a question, I totally throw you off guard? What do you do?
Yeah, that. I don't know.
Pause.
Oh.
Weak language, 100%, is you avoiding silence. That's all it is.
Oh,
you're fearful of the silence. It's okay. You can stay. You're fired.
I've already been kicked out of the session. Okay, so weak language is me avoiding that moment of pause, the moment of silence.
Yeah, and I'll prove it to you. Think about some of the speakers that you think just do a kick-ass job speaking publicly. Who are they for you?
Seth Godin, Lewis House. It's going to be a bad joke now. Pretty much everyone who's ever been on the TED stage.
Yeah.
Ever.
Mm-hmm. And if you watch those videos of Seth Godin speaking, do you think he's using ums and uhs and dropping basic lees and so's every other word?
Certainly not.
Right. What is he using instead?
A really powerful pause, now that I think about it.
Right. See, there is science behind this. And that's the toughest part, because we're uncomfortable with that silence. And I think especially for women, we're uncomfortable with it because we think that the stage will be taken from us. And it won't, because that silence holds gravitas. It holds weight. It holds executive presence. So being comfortable with the silence is really the key. and we're talking about, branding, your speaking, and this is all one big component of it.
Yeah.
But I nerd out on this stuff, so there's one component of this that I just want to share because there's brain science behind this. Okay, play along with me because math isn't my strong suit. Our brain has something called filters, and filters are what protect us from being bombarded by too much information that we can't handle.
Okay.
Right? So social media, text messages, emails, videos, all of it. When you as a speaker have talked for too long, your audience, even though they look like they're listening to you, they're just not. Their brain can't possibly, even if they like you, this has nothing to do with being likable. This has to do with their brain being overloaded in that moment.
So the ability to like bring information in, they've just reached a wall.
Yes.
Okay.
And we know this because we look at children in school, and even as children, we know that 10 to 15 minutes at a time, there's a reason why this video is only 15 minutes, because you can't keep listening after that. You can't keep absorbing new information.
Okay.
So on average, filters can be as high as 90%, right? So you got 90% here. In your world, how long is your average meeting or conference call?
I would say an hour, maybe.
Yeah. For most people,
Sure.
it usually is. So filters are as high as 90%. How much information is getting through?
10?
You got it. Nailed it. Just back in the game, folks.
Ah!
All right. And if your meeting is 60 minutes, how much? Yeah, it's uncomfortable.
Dude.
Yeah. So we're talking about 6 minutes potentially of productive communication.
That's insane.
Yeah, it makes you feel like shit.
It
Like
really
you want your
does.
54 minutes back. Now, a lot of this is filled with weak language. So the reason this number got so high is because everything you said was like, well, and you sound like your teenage kid.
Right.
Which is not the type of speaker that we want to be.
Mhm.
That's really obvious. We go off to school, right? So we have this version of weak language that is the likes, the ums, the so's, our teenage speak. But we get a different brand of weak language, which is the academic version. How would you define the word basically?
I don't know. It
It's
doesn't have a lot of meaning.
No, it's a fancy way of saying
Yeah.
Maybe it's however, maybe it could be replaced with another word, but it's usually a fancy way of saying How about, well, what I meant to say was, or let me just summarize.
Right.
All versions of weak language. Just
some
very
extra words.
lofty, yes.
And I
weak
guess in
language.
many ways it's just filling time in a calendar.
Yes.
Right. So I'm in front of people and I feel like I must keep talking. So I just keep talking and I fill it in with words that mean nothing.
It's helpful if I give you the definition of weak language, which is any word or phrase that does not add value.
Okay.
Any word that does not add value for your clients, your customers, your audience. Doesn't matter who they are. If the word doesn't add value, it's weak.
Okay. Well, there's probably a lot of weak language in
There
my
is.
conversations.
There is.
I'm thinking about when we get together for Women Entrepreneurs Hour, for example, and it's typically an hour long. And I really put a lot of thought into the questions I asked the people I interview. But now understanding this, it's really making me think about the quality of the question and the quality of the engagement.
Yeah.
And
this deals with a lot more because this isn't just weak language. This is also audience engagement. So there's so much more that goes into this conversation that we don't have enough time to cover.
Right.
But in order to get to that brand that we want to all have as a speaker, this is the biggest component. This idea of eliminating the weak language.
So when you say speaker, I want to think about too, does this work for everyone in sort of every situation? So let's say I'm stepping into a new networking event, or if I were trying to close a really big client, or even meeting someone for the first time ever.
Does what work specifically?
Eliminating weak language. Is this a tool that I would use in all facets everywhere?
I'm a big proponent of two things when it comes to this. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And the second thing is you can't turn this off and on.
Okay.
You can't. So who I am when I'm at happy hour with my friends is largely who I am when I'm coaching executives on a sales team in a room and telling them the same story.
Okay.
That being said, there are instances, which I think is where your question is really going, where some phrase or word that would be considered weak could, in certain situations, arguably add value and therefore not be weak. I'll give you an example. If you had someone less senior than you, someone more junior than you, come to you so excited, sharing an idea, and they're like, Hillary, I am so excited. Okay, listen to this idea. Blah, 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 and then blah, 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 blah. And you're like, that is the worst idea I've ever heard. Are you going to say that?
Probably not.
No, in an effort to eliminate weak language, you're not going to say, Mickey, that's the worst idea I've ever heard. No, what would you say?
I'd say, that's great, fantastic, and we might need to shape that.
I am so grateful that you shared this with me.
Exactly.
There's a few things that you weren't aware of that might have, changed the way you approached this idea.
Yeah.
I'll share those with you now. And the effort there is to not create a situation where they don't ever want to share something with you again.
Of course.
So the words that would be weak in that scenario are no longer weak because they're adding value to me as a junior person approaching a senior person already scared shitless.
Yeah.
You're toning it down.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. That makes
Does that
sense.
answer the question?
Yeah.
A little?
100%. Okay.
Cool.
So what do we do?
Okay, play a game with me because this is fun.
Oh, no.
We have the time. Take your thumb and place it on your head and say think.
Think?
Mm-hmm. Think. Take your next finger, place it around your nose and say edit.
Edit.
Think, edit.
Think,
and
edit.
then take your middle finger and place it around your mouth. Speak. Yeah.
Speak.
So we have this weird face thing going on. Think, brain, somewhere between the brain and the mouth, we edit, and then we speak it, right?
Think, edit, speak.
Think, edit, speak. Now, what order do these normally happen in?
I think it's supposed to happen in the order we just said. Think,
that's
edit, and speak.
Supposed to, but what normally do we do?
I think we speak, and then we try to edit it, and then I think about it all night long. Like
Great.
I replay conversations
So
forever.
let's take away the think and the edit.
Wait.
What finger are you giving the world?
A whole lot of this.
I didn't make this up. My colleague did, but he said I could borrow it. So, yeah, if you do not think first and then edit and then speak, you are literally middle fingering the world. You're just word vomiting all over them.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's bringing me back to the first point about not wanting to be silent and not wanting to pause. Because I think that's the reluctance, is that if I'm thinking too long or I'm editing it too long in my head, potentially my response is so slow that now I'm in a circular loop.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, and I can guarantee you that as you're first trying to adopt the elimination of weak language, the think, editing, and speaking, which is a novel idea really if you think about it, that we would think and edit before we speak, it's going to feel weird, and you're going to sound awkward, and you're going to sound stubby, and it's going to sound like she has no idea what she's talking about.
Yep.
And it's still worth the struggle because Michelle Obama did it.
Yeah.
Sheryl Sandberg did it.
Fair enough.
All of the women that we sit and watch and we think, oh, how are they just born with this natural? They weren't. They paid thousands and thousands of dollars and spent plenty of time practicing this.
So there's hope for us, is what
Absolutely,
you're saying. We
absolutely.
can somehow
Yes.
eliminate the likes and the ums and the ahs.
We
And
can, yes. And I have one other way that we could do it.
All
Because
right.
I think everything is solved with a drinking game.
Oh, well, tell me more.
Can I borrow your cup of water?
You may.
This is in part your homework.
Okay.
Your homework.
We're
I
doing
want
it.
you to take your favorite beverage. So let's imagine that this was Coke or tea or coffee or some beverage that you love. Wine. Although I don't think you're drinking wine at work because we're going to want to have this with us all day long. I won't judge you if you are. But take your favorite beverage. Then take water and completely water it down. So we're talking more than 50% ratio of your favorite beverage to the water.
So let's say like 50% coffee, 50% water on top of coffee?
Yes, absolutely.
Sounds
it needs
kinda
to be
gross.
disgusting. It needs to be something that you don't want to drink.
Okay.
Every time you're on a conference call, you're in a meeting, you're somewhere that you can have this with you, nobody needs to know what you're doing. Drink. When you hear yourself say when you hear yourself say drink. Disrupt the behavior, because what you're asking your brain to do is tough. It's a complete behavior shift. It's a habit breakdown, and you need the negative reinforcement. And this makes you comfortable with the pause. Because when you say you catch yourself, you drink, you're now eating up time, you're breathing, you're having a second to laugh in your head, but then where was I going with that? And then the next time you open your mouth, something more brilliant will come out.
Interesting idea.
Yes.
I actually did this activity once in a training with some of your colleagues, and I didn't totally understand it at the time, but now that you've explained it, I get that, because this doesn't sound fun to me.
It's not.
to
It's not
capture my
supposed to
ums.
be.
But I also didn't understand the point either that in that moment where I now pick up the glass and take a drink of water, I'm actually creating the pause.
You're creating a pause for yourself, a very uncomfortable pause. And immediately the ums and the uhs are the things that go away first.
Okay.
Then after that, you get basically some of the more lofty versions of weak language. But eventually, if you stick with this for a week or two, you will start noticing that what you said in 5 sentences, you can say in 2. So now you're becoming more concise. And again, this all goes back to branding yourself as a speaker. You're becoming, more executive. You hold the weight in the room. I think about my grandfather, who so rarely speaks. He's a funny guy, but he so rarely speaks. But when he speaks, everybody shuts up.
Because it's good.
Because it's good, and it's the same. It's the same for us. If we can just learn to pause, to breathe, to think before we speak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think it really will be helpful. What often comes up, even when we do events with Hatch Tribe and people get together, is there's a lot of opportunities to introduce yourself. And, you start spitting out these words. And sometimes you sound a little like a robot because you've overly rehearsed it.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, we can stumble over words and just... And then you get the chance to just keep practicing and practicing and practicing. Yep. And I do believe it gets better the more that we have the opportunity to practice it. And whether or not it's in that setting as a networking event or sitting in a really big sale with potential clients and customers. So I think we've got some work to do.
We'll get there, but this is absolutely the first stage of it. No ums and uhs. Okay. So that's the homework.
Okay.
Make your cup. And then the other thing I would encourage is... record yourself either on video or just audio on your phone when you're on the phone, when you're on a video conference. Listen to it back. See what your weak language is. Everybody has different weak language. I'm pretty good with the ums and uhs at this point, but I lean on so. It is my every transition between sentences. So, yeah. So I work on that. Just did it again.
Okay, so we'll record ourselves so we can listen to that back and notice what our own weak language is.
Exactly. Play the drinking game. And then there will be a video available on the Members Circle, which I would encourage for the overachievers, if you want to take yourself here. Watch it, because just the first couple minutes, I've got some directions written above it. Watch the first couple minutes of it, and now you become the coach. Now that you've seen this, like I said, you can't unsee it. Mm-hmm. Watch this video and look at the difference between the woman who introduces the speaker and the speaker herself. And just notice a few of the prompts that I've given you. Notice a few of the aspects of their speaking, the aspects of their presence, even on camera, and see what you see.
Cool. Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's session 1. So we'll see you shortly for session 2. Bye, y'all.